Hi, and welcome to High Growth with HTDC on ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. HTDC stands for High Technology Development Corporation, and we're the state agency that supports tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing. So we hope to showcase all of those things on this program. First off, I'd like to make some announcements before we meet our wonderful guests. This month and next month, if you're a small business, HTDC will be hosting the UH Law School Spring 2014 Small Business Law Clinic in partnership with SBDC at the Manoa Innovation Center. This is 45 minutes of free legal advice. So get down there, make your appointments. You can make them online at htdc.org/clinic. This Saturday, March 15th, is Hawaii's very first mini maker fair at Iolani School's Sullivan Center. And the Sullivan Center is super awesome. I just went to visit it and it's amazing. So if you have a chance, go check it out. This would be a great event to go see it. And the Maker Fair is an event for the whole family. It's part science fair, part county fair, and part something totally new. It's a gathering for tech enthusiasts, crafters, tinkerers, hobbyists, engineers, artists, educators, and everyone in between. So it's great for do-it-yourselfers. And if you have anything that you do on your own that you build, check it out. And once again, I'd like to call all SBIR Phase 1 winners. HTDC offers the state matching grant fund for up to 50% of your Phase 1 award. So if that's you, if you've won a Phase 1, please contact us at sbir@htdc.org.
More?
So our first guest today recently just won a Phase 1 SBIR from the U.S. Department of Ag. My first guest is Robert Olivier, founder of Compost Mania and Protoculture. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, it's my pleasure, and it was an honor to get to Phase 1, so that was
Great.
a lot of fun, and hopefully we can change ag in Hawaii.
Was that your first?
That was the first Phase 1 I even applied for, SBIR.
That is amazing. That is a very rare accomplishment. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
That's really good. So tell us, what is Compost Mania?
Compost Mania is actually an online store for basically selling anything to do with your home garden ecosystem. Our goal was to change the world one garden at a time. And the best way to do that, in our mind, was to find a way to get people away from Home Depot and to rely on the natural fertility that they can find within their own environment. And so if you can really restore fertility and nutrient balance at home, then you're changing the world. Lawns are very inefficient, and your typical green, fertilized, and completely petrochemically based home accessory is really a living ecosystem, but you have to treat it as such. And so a very simple thing would be to look at increasing your fertility at home. And one way of doing that was composting. And one way to get into composting is to be able to go after our waste. So not only are we solving a waste problem on one side by diverting food waste from landfill, which in Hawaii is definitely an issue, we are also adding to the overall ecosystem at the end. And it is composting is something that was done before the advent of modern fertilizer, and our grandparents definitely did it. And now what you're noticing is a lot of people think that composting is difficult. It's hard. They don't know what to do, and they're iffy. And really, the whole idea about Compost Mania is to say, no, it's not. It's not difficult. You can do it, and you could build something yourself, or you can buy a clean unit. And so Compost Mania grew out of that principle of changing the world one garden at a time.
Wow, that's great. That's a good idea. And what is Protoculture?
Well, Protoculture is very much related to Compost Mania, but looking into a novel technique on where we can cultivate not just soil, but actually proteins. That's why protoculture, there's the Greek root of proto for protein, and culture is a way of life, and it's also a way of cultivation. So we chose the name to bring the proteins together with what we were creating or crafting. And within the protoculture, we developed what's called a grub compost bin. But now people are really starting to see it as an insect farm. And what we're really doing is not just making soil, we're really making proteins. And if anyone's had chickens, it takes no time for chickens to deplete the entire insect population in your backyard. And if you feed chickens just regular table scraps, it's not really the nutrient profile that a chicken is used to. Actually, if you buy soy and cornmeal, it's really not what a chicken is eating either. Chickens in nature, they don't find bags of soy. They don't find big deposits of grain. What was it that chickens normally eat? They eat insects, and they eat small seeds and kind of succulent small fruits. And what we're really trying to do is bring that back into your garden ecosystem. So again, as you see, Compost Mania is changing the world one garden at a time. What we're also trying to do is make a difference in the footprint of our animals. And so feed is a really important question on the home garden scale, but especially on the state level for Hawaii. And that's why I wrote an SBIR application, because Hawaii needs a feed that doesn't come through a container. You need a local feed that is cheap and sustainable, and most importantly, it's a feed that doesn't go up with the price of oil. Because every time the price of oil goes up, what has happened to our animal industry here in Hawaii, farmers go broke. And it's either the state has to subsidize feed costs, or guess what really happens is, instead of taking all these pounds of feed and importing them to feed one animal to lay a few eggs or to make some meat, what is happening is they're just importing the meat and the eggs, and agriculture gets decimated in the state of Hawaii. And so it's very important that we find a way to create a cheap, nutritious feed. And that's why protoculture is significant in that regard. So right now, protoculture with the SBIR, what we're really doing is we are making animal feed by growing insects. So we're growing insects pretty much at still a small scale, but with the ultimate goal of feeding chickens, and then seeing how many eggs do these chickens actually lay. So that is the main idea about this SBIR, is to show the USDA that insects can be used as feed, and when they do, chickens lay eggs, and they lay lots of eggs. So it's a very simple SBIR, but no one is doing it. And so I think that my approach kind of stood out. And then what you guys have done at HTDC has been phenomenal, because you've enveloped me in an entrepreneurial culture to take it to the next level. And so I really, not only the matching support, but also the contacts to do this in Hawaii. It's a great little challenge.
That's great. How does, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. How did you get to Hawaii? Where you originally?
Actually, I came through an invite by Mindy from Waikiki Worm Company to do a workshop on black soldier fly, which is a non-pest form of insect. And I can do workshops for 3 to 5 hours where I teach people exactly how to set it all up. And
for your homes.
For the home or for a small farm. Yeah, that's right. But what happened is one of the last workshops that I did was in Hilo. And what was really unique about this workshop is, this is Hilo, and there was 300 people that showed up for a room of about 200.
That's awesome.
So there was a standing room workshop going on the Big Island, which is quite odd. And what really amazed me was the diversity of the audience. At one point, we had the lieutenants of the USDA all sitting there trying to figure out, what is this all about? And right behind them, you see a big, over 6 foot, Filipino illegal cockfighter with handlebar mustaches. And then you realize that in this room is one is being prosecuted by the other. And I got inside, I said, are these people all wanting to become insect farmers? And then it kind of dawned on me, I said, probably not. They're not going to be insect farmers. Maybe out of those 300 people, if 5 of them still were farming insects a year later, that'd be a good turnover. But if I had a bag of feed to sell, half of that room would have bought it. And then I realized that just teaching people how to farm insects is not the same as actually creating an insect-based animal feed. There's lots of challenges to that. You need FDA approval, you need to show all kinds of aspects. And so when the USDA sponsored my research, I really set it up so that we can do the right science to then go for FDA approval. Because if the science is done right, then, so that's why we need to have, a chicken, we need over 120 chickens because we need a population that's great enough. And therefore we needed to find lots of food waste. So that then brought us to Pearl City High School, because they have a cafeteria that produces anywhere from 200 to 500 pounds of food waste a day. And so we decided, together with Mindy at Waikiki Worm, to make it into a zero waste campus.
Wow.
And so by looking and cultivating insects, which could be worms or black soldier fly in our case, we're able to, when the dump trucks come to pick it up, they're just picking up empty dumpsters now, because we got the food waste out, means we can get the cardboard recycled, means that we can also go after all the High Five initiative cans and bottles and everything. So ultimately, if you solve a food waste problem, you are actually going after one of the most difficult aspects of food waste, because there's no energy in food waste. It's mostly water. It will stink, it will mess up. And so that's why we are big fans of insect farming. And I have a video that I can show how efficient these insects actually are in the process of devouring our food waste.
Yum. Okay, control room. Let's see the video.
Basically, already you're noticing is that nothing is identifiable anymore. You're basically looking now at the bone and the skin. And within almost 24 hours, your food waste will be upcycled. So proteins in, proteins out, fats in, fats out, carbohydrates in, actually also fats out. So what is happening is by farming these insects, we're not just trying to make soil, we're really trying to make two things, proteins and fats. They're insect proteins and fats. And because of the fact that this organism, when it's done eating, wants to get out of the bins automatically, the moment they get out of the bin, they are able to, we are able to harvest them in little buckets. So eventually, all we have to do is simply process them. They're already in pellet form because they're just a grub.
Wow.
And they have a nice chitin scale. So in a way, they're nature's power bar. They're full of protein and energy.
So they harvest themselves.
They harvest themselves, unlike worms. So that means that you don't have to go dig into your compost piles. You don't have to go do it. And so basically we developed a small thing called a biopod, which is a very, very, very easy way to, put in your food waste and the grubs come out. And so a very good demonstration of this is done right here. And this is one of our clients in Hawaii, where he has his biopod in his chicken coop. And as the the grubs come out of the ramp on the side, the chickens can peck the live feed that comes out. And as part of the chicken coop, what also comes out is eggs. So what you're doing is food waste in, eggs out. And that is a very, very oversimplification of how we're doing it. The eggs look fantastic because they're full of calcium and phosphorus and full of protein. Sometimes overeating, and the ladies pay for it when the eggs gets delivered, and you can hear them. Yeah, so it's one of the reasons that we're working on taking the dried grubs and actually making them into a pellet, because they get less excited
if it's not
than
live.
If it's live and it looks like an insect,
around.
It's like a frenzy. It's a I think it's kind of like a mosh pit in a Metallica concert.
Wow. And do you also get compost too?
You do, but very little.
It's mostly
because
the
most of
feed.
the nutrients are gone within the first 24 hours. That the compost is actually just kind of your fibers or your bone, and then it itself will compost into units. So yeah, you get very little compost at the end of the day.
Okay. Ooh, interesting. And so do the Pearl City students also have chickens?
No, they do not.
Okay, so then you're just getting the food waste from
We're getting the food waste because we're freezing everything for our feed trial with the USDA.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you're not processing on site. You're removing and then you're bringing somewhere
Well,
else.
but the students are freezing, they're drying, they're doing all the steps possible. They will be pressing and they will be harvesting the fats so that we have a fraction that is just a protein cake, and then the fats go out. And one of the things that they're making with the fats is biodiesel.
Wow.
Because just like any other fat, you can make biodiesel out of it. So we're actually making an insect-based biodiesel.
Oh, wow.
And this is done by AP Bio and Chem students at Pearl City High.
That's cool. And so the pellets would just be the protein part.
The pellets would be the protein part. So I've got some dried grubs with me. I don't know if the camera can show them that well,
Okay.
but they still have the fat in there, and so when you smell them, they still smell like kind of dog liver treats because of the high fat content. And once we press them out, they also become, the meal becomes whiter and more like protein powder. But this is definitely nature's power bar. They're about 35% protein, up to 45% fat. You could press the fat out, make biodiesel, and
Interesting.
feed. So,
Okay.
it's a very simple process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So I got
How quickly do those things propagate?
They naturally propagate. The thing is that you can get them to come. Now, we've had challenges with that.
Hang on, I'm going to take a quick break.
Yeah,
We need
absolutely.
to take a station break. So,
And I got to
this
clean
is-
these. I gotta
Yeah. This is High Growth with HTDC on Think Tech Hawaii. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and my guests today are my guest today is Robert Olivier, and we'll be back with a new guest after the break. Thank you.
Castle and Cook, Hawaii. Investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state. Collateral Analytics. Empowering the real estate industry to make better informed property investment decisions. The Foreign Trade Zone. Bringing the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone programs to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. Galen Ho, a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company. Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island. The Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, incorporating diverse perspectives to design a flexible and forward-looking energy strategy. Hawaii Energy, the state's energy and efficiency program created to help Hawaii's residents and businesses adopt a clean energy lifestyle. Hawaii Gas, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future. Hawaii Pacific Health, bringing technology and teamwork together to transform healthcare in Hawaii. The High Tech Development Corporation, attached to DBED, is the state's leading technology agency. The Scheidler Family Foundation, supporting educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech.
My first guest was Robert Olivier. Thank you so much. And I wanted to introduce our second guest, Jim DeCarlo, who's been sitting so patiently with us. And he's the founder of Each One Teach One Farms and also the Bokashi Bucket. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Cindy. Very excited to be here with you and another great guest. We're both here solving the same problem, which is pretty huge. Food waste is really, I always tell people it's one of the biggest environmental problems that most people have never heard of. And so seeing the awesome work that these folks are doing with taking that and turning it into a protein for feed is just so inspiring. And I think that there's, for me, I created a project a few years ago called Throw to Grow. And with what's happened with me in the past few years, I've noticed that I don't even look at it as a waste anymore. like it's a resource. You know, you come to my house, you know, we're saving every single little scrap.
That's awesome.
And that's what I teach other people how to do as well. So I think it's just about changing your values, changing the mindset. Whether you're using it to, you know, power up your own chicken to grow your eggs, which you're going to eat. That's a great self-contained permaculture style system, or you're using something like the Bokashi bucket to turn it into compost to grow some other types of food. I think it's all good.
I know, and I love that there's options focused
Okay.
here. Sorry.
So what we're watching here, the Bokashi bucket is it's a kitchen composting system that allows people to recycle 100% of their food waste right inside their kitchen.
That's great.
And some of the main benefits are that it's no foul smell. It doesn't attract bugs, and it's relatively fast. So we're looking at about a 6-week turnover from actual food scraps to ready-to-use compost, and the thing is, it's just really easy to use. It's like you said, there's always excuses for composting. You know, there's definitely a yuck factor that's there, and so finding ways to make composting easy, I think, is where we're at right now. It's something that's really important. And right now, what you guys just saw, there's some stats on the screen. In the United States, this is based on a 2009 EPA study. We generate about 34 million tons of food waste a year.
Wow.
Less than 3% of that is recycled. And let's just do, so food waste is it's the second largest category of waste in our waste stream, but it's the least recycled waste. So paper is right above that, but paper in comparison, we recycle like 60% of it. So you got 60% versus 3%. So there's really, what I see, there's a huge opportunity to reduce our landfill size by diverting food waste out of the landfill and turning it into something usable. And the Bokashi bucket is just another component in what I see as a portfolio of options for individuals to take their food waste and turn it into something usable, and doing it right at home. And you know, that's also something that I think is important. Like each one teach one farms. You know, the whole object when I started this thing years ago was to make sustainability easy and accessible to lots of people. So I realized that, you know, we have this big leap that we have to make. There's this big bridge that we have to cross. Yeah, and it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be like a light switch. We're not going to flick it, and everybody's not going to be on board tomorrow. So it's all about small changes having a big impact. You know, just a little bit at a time, and just changing your mindset. And that's really been the goal. And so you know, Bokashi Bucket is just one product. There will be more. We also have some media initiatives that we're doing. We recently did a collaboration short film with Volcom.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I saw
Volcom brought on Each One Teach One Farms to recycle all the food waste from the surf contest.
Yeah, it was a Pipeline Pro, right?
It was a Volcom Pipe Pro, and we did that last year, and we did it this year. And then they also tapped us to create a short documentary film. It was called Sustainable by Design, and it documents the story of making the Volcom Pipe Pro the greenest surf contest in the world.
That's
so
awesome.
Beyond the food waste recycling, they're also doing things like, you know, they're sourcing from local farms. The place where we were recycling the food waste from the contest was literally across the street at Waikuena Farm.
Wow.
So you want to talk about, you know, miles traveled for waste, literally right there. And that is then turned
so you
into
just
fertility.
walk it across the street.
Literally, yeah. All of the equipment being run for the webcast was run on biodiesel, which was sourced by Pacific Biodiesel. And all of the plateware, the cups, were all 100% compostable, and we also process those on the farm across the street. And so, yeah, you know, there's lots of exciting things and opportunities. Again, waste is. We've realized that this is a really big problem, and it needs to be solved. And I think with, you know, a product like the Bokashi bucket, it's like I said, it's just one tool in the toolbox for individuals to use. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what I'm all about is empowering people to just make those changes on their own. And you know, it builds confidence. You need like a little bit at a time.
Yeah. You need little wins, right?
Yeah, you might start this, maybe then you start with one chicken, then you get 2 chickens, and before you know it, you have 12 like I did. And but I mean, it's
Nice.
it's awesome. It's awesome. And when you start seeing happen, I mean, creation's a beautiful thing. It's the ultimate in being there and playing a hand and playing a role in nature. I mean, it's awesome.
I like the fact that there are options, and then I know that I've tried the worm bin, and I think I like this one because you don't have to sort through your food. Like you can just throw everything in. I know the worms, you have to take like the meats and the starches and other things out, so I think that's very cool. And I like that people have options. Just a quick re-announcement. My guest today is Jim DeCarlo from Each One Teach One Farms and Robert Olivier of Compost Media. And we're on Think Tech Hawaii. Were you born and raised here, Jim?
No, I was actually born in Central America, in Panama.
Wow.
Yeah, so I immigrated to this country in, let's see, when I was about 2 years old. And yeah, I grew up on the East Coast, tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And I moved to Hawaii just about 8 years ago. My
What
background's
brought you?
in, well, my best friend was living here. I was working in New York City, went to business school, worked in advertising and marketing.
Wow.
Branding, and that's kind
So
of
the
a
whole
passion of
business.
mine. Yeah, and so I kind of just, I got caught up with, I got fed up with that way of life and wanted to, and realized that there's another alternative. You know, there's another way to live, and I wanted to take that chance and see what I found. And yeah, I came out here, and it's been, you know, it's been incredible, the transformation of my life and being
Wow.
introduced to, you know, there's a whole new way of living. I think that a lot, and I just came from the North Shore, and I was having a conversation with one of the guys that works on the farm, and it's funny because he has one of the thickest Staten Island accents. I mean, and it's just weird. Like I'm seeing him on this farm,
Yeah.
and he's coming to me with a 6 out. I'm like, well, dude, where are you from? And so he starts telling me a story and how he works as an electrician for 6 months out of the year, then comes here for 6 months.
Wow.
And we just started talking about how when, you know, where we're from, that there's that kind of, that lifestyle's ingrained in you of getting into that rat race. You're supposed to do this, and you do this, and you do this. And that thinking outside of the box, I mean, even just peering outside is like, people are like, what are you doing? You know, so, you know, he lives a very, very interesting life. And I think, you know, that's another thing I empower people to do is just take chances. There's always a different way.
Is that something people can do when they come to the farm? Or how does that work? Like, is it
Yeah.
a teaching farm?
So
or-
the farm that I work out of is called Waihuana Farm, and I teach classes and workshops there, and that's where our facility is, where we make our bokashi, part of our product, and yeah, that's what that farm, they operate a CSA, but then they also
awesome.
have lots of classes and workshops there that are open to the community.
Kind of
So
help people step out,
yeah,
see
exactly.
see what that other side is.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. We should definitely do that. I should definitely do that. And then I've also noticed that you have a workshop coming up at the Box Jelly.
Yes,
Are you-
we do. It's going to be a bokashi composting class,
Nice.
and in that class, people will learn how to make their own bokashi. And for those of you guys who don't know out there, bokashi is the kind of active microorganism blend that works all the magic on the food waste and actually helps it to break down. So we'll be teaching folks how to make that, and they'll be making their own kind of mini bokashi bucket to take home.
Wow,
So the goal
nice.
is that you can walk out of that workshop and you'll be able to take your food scraps when you get home and start right away.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and
that activator mix, does it start, or what does it do?
So the process, the science behind it is called anaerobic fermentation. So that's why we do it in a bucket. Anaerobic meaning no oxygen. And the microbes that we use it's a blend of beneficial microbes, and they're mixed with, we mix it on like a bran, like a wheat bran, and then we add some molasses in there. The sugars help to feed the microbes. And that's really the base. I mean, in my blend, I add a few other things, but that's really the core base of what bokashi is. And what happens is when you add that to the food waste in an anaerobic environment, the microbes just really thrive, and they go to work and they actually ferment the food waste instead of letting it rot. So that's what helps to break it down quickly. The microbes are very aggressive, so they can break down things like proteins. So you can put meat and you can put bones in there, and it also helps to take away that putrid smell, so that rotting smell that people associate with rotting food, that
meat
yuck
in your
factor.
house,
yeah. So that the microbes help, and it kind of gives it like a almost like a sweet and sour smell to it when it's done right. And in addition to the solid compost, you also get we have a little spigot there.
Do you want to show your bucket? I know you brought one.
Yeah. Here, I'll show that to you guys. Maybe we'll put it right there. Okay, yeah, there she is. And so the spigot here allows you to drain out the any runoff liquid, and then that's used as is kind of like a liquid fertilizer. We call it compost tea. And really, what's going on here is that you are putting life back into the soil. That's what Bokashi Bucket is all about, and the microbial life is really the foundation for healthy soil, and in turn, healthy soil produces healthy plants. So our jobs are not so much really, or at least me personally, is not so much as a farmer in terms of growing food, but I'm growing healthy soil first. So that for me, it all starts there, and the benefits are phenomenal. You know, we're talking, you know, not only the size, but you know, quality, and then also just ease. What I found is that when you put good things into the soil, the plants just kind of like take care of themselves. I mean, with pests and disease.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the healthy soil is really where it's at. So yeah, that's what this does.
So some of the microbes actually come out into the liquid.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Oh, okay, and that's what you're putting into.
That's what you
soil.
actually dilute that, and then you can water it right into the soil. You can do a foliar spray, which is just spraying it right on your plants. I put it in a pump sprayer, and I just spray my entire garden down periodically.
Wow, that is awesome. Very awesome. I'm so excited. So, I want to thank my guests today. My guests today have been Robert Olivier of Protoculture and Compost Mania. Check out compostmania.com.
That's right.
And also Jim DiCarlo.
They can go to eachoneteachonefarms.com, or if it's easier, the bokashibucket.com. And you can also find these, if you want to get a closer look at them, you can find them at any Whole Foods or Down to Earth store.
That's awesome.
You can get them there too.
Very good. Yeah. And you can also visit Jim at the Box Jelly.
Yes, Box Jelly. That's right. Come down.
And then I wanted to ask our viewers, I wanted to thank you guys for supporting our entrepreneurs, firstly, and for watching this program. But also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below. Let us know what your composting experience has been. And if you have any questions for Jim or Robert, please put them there and we'll get back to you. And thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.